Okay. Are we gonna have the countdown before we start?
Wow, that's nice.
Hi. Good evening to all my audience today. Thank you very much for spending your evening here with us. My name is Lini, and I'm very honored to introduce three of our financial specialists. Let's hear from them how they plan for their own children's education. We have Alvin, okay, who is our financial services director. We also have Joey, principal investment specialist, and we have Swarna, associate manager. Now, let's start off with Swarna, ladies first. Her daughter is pursuing her final year university, as you can see, beautiful family on the screen, and her son is currently in junior college. I am sure everyone has burning questions. Please plan your questions because our session must end in 1 hour, okay, including Q&A. And for the audience, we are actually live on Zoom, on YouTube, as well as Facebook. My guest tonight, please wave to the camera and flash them your biggest smile. I also wave. Okay. Next, I would like to introduce Joey. Okay, he's our principal investment specialist. Joey is one of our award-winning remisiers, or some of you know them as stockbroker, bagging numerous awards every year from 2014 to 2020. 2021 haven't ended, maybe he will get it too. I must emphasize every year. Joey is no stranger for those who are active trading, okay, traders. What I know personally about Joey is his willingness to share and educate. This is always top on his priority. Yeah, it's never about selling. Joey's son, as you can see from the picture, is in primary one and his daughter in K2. It must be very interesting to hear how a stockbroker plans for his children's education. I must assure all of you here tonight there shall be no selling, okay? So it is completely educational. If you are watching us, please share with your other friends whom you think would benefit from this rare chance of fireside chat where you can ask all your questions about children education live to our very own financial specialists. And then, last but not least, is Elvin. He has three children, with the eldest in Sec 1 and the younger boys in P5 and P3. He told me his youngest is an active TikToker trying to achieve 1,000 followers. Impressive, huh? Let me see. Actually, I also have a TikTok account. I just created mine last month. So if I check, let me see. I have a grand total of 5 followers. So, how embarrassing. Alvin is a veteran in the financial services industry with over 20 years of experience. In fact, he leads a team of 15 advisors, and his team are obviously experts when it comes to advising on children's education. But the million dollar question is, how does Alvin plan his own children's education? Okay, I would like to start off with uh, today's first question. Okay, at this junction, let's get our audience tuning in to do a little poll. Okay, my colleague Justin will be assisting us with the poll. Those who are on Zoom would be able to see the poll actually. Um, if you're on Facebook and YouTube, you can comment in the chat box as well on your answer. Okay. And then we'll wait 1 or 2 minutes for you guys to tell us your answer. Okay. Those on Facebook, on YouTube, let me share with you the question. We would like to know the profile of our listeners and audience today. What is the age group of your children? If you answer one, it is preschool. Two, it is primary school. Three, it is secondary school or higher. Four, expecting a newborn. And five, none of the above. I'm just curious and would just like to watch this Facebook or Zoom live. So tell us your answer. And Justin, perhaps you want
Okay.
to tell us what do you see?
Okay, we got 52% participants already. I just give it a while more, and then
Mm-hmm.
I'll collect and let you guys know. Let's see a bit more. We have like 70% reply
Yes, yes.
already.
Please put in your answers. We are very curious to know. We will be certainly having more of such Ask Me Anything series. Okay, so what we would like to showcase to you are topics that you would like to hear about, and that certainly helps us to curate and plan for our next Ask Me Anything series.
Okay, I think it stopped already, but looks like most of our audience are at secondary school or higher, and primary school are both having 24%, and then followed by preschool at 19%, and expecting a newborn is the smallest one at 5%. So yeah.
Is there any no none of the above? I'm just curious.
Yes, there's
Oh,
above.
very
Yeah.
little, huh? So we have most of our
Uh,
audience today in what, secondary school or higher and primary school,
primary
you were
school.
saying. Nice, nice.
Yes.
We will hear from our specialists, is that too late, or is that never too late to start, right? So let's start off with our first topic here, which you can see on the screen. When do you start planning for your children's education? Okay, at this point, let me unshare my screen. Let's focus our attention on my guests tonight. And maybe we can start out with Swarna. Share with us a bit more. Justin, would you like to change our screen to all four on the main screen? Nice. Swarna, would you like to start?
Hi, Lini, and everyone else who's online. Fantastic evening to everyone here. Okay, when do we start? I think it's always, we say, right? It's always the first day when the child is born is when we start to plan for what future we want the child to have, right? It's a very typical thing, but most of the time I see that sometimes it gets delayed. I can share with you what I did for my children. For my elder one, we started off as soon as she was born. We were actually overseas at the time. So, I mean, looking at the colleges and everything, really frightened us. And we said, oh, better start planning ahead, in case we have to send her to college. And so we actually plan for her overseas studies. That's how it started off. For my younger one, of course, he was born in Singapore. We were in Singapore, and we sort of knew that what we are going to do. I mean, we didn't look like we were traveling or going to moving. So it was more clearer for us on how to go about planning on that. So there is a difference in terms of how we plan for my elder one versus the younger one because of the demographics that we were in. Yeah.
It is also, I noticed, Swarna, when you joined Philip Capital 17 years ago, your daughter was 4 and your son was probably very, very young, infant. How
Yeah.
did you manage, coping with your new job, caring for your 2 younger ones, which probably still need a lot of attention, and ensuring the best education for 2 of them?
Yep. I mean, I would say I was a banker before I joined Philips
Mm.
Capital. So, from banking to the financial advisory was not a difficult platform to move. But what I gained in that move was the flexibility and the time for my children. As you know, banking job is like, very stressful, time consuming. Whereas in Philip, I get to choose and plan my day based on how I want to do it. So there was an excellent way of work-life balance that I got from the platform that I moved to, and I'm no regret. So 17 years is a long time, and I'm
Yes,
happy
yes.
doing what I'm doing. Yes.
What about Alvin? You had number 2 and number 3 even. When did you start planning for your children's education?
Oh yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, basically when I had my first one, I took up a limited payment endowment plan that is payable for 10 years and maturing when she's 19. This is very typical of what every advisor would tell people to do. So I did that first. I stretched my budget over the foreseeable 10 years. And my thought was also to upgrade if I'm doing well. But however, when 2 years later the my number two comes, later you'll discover that they're all surprises. So I realized I got to change my strategy a little. So I took an investment link plan. Because basically I realized that I do need to take up a strategy that offers higher flexibility and potentially even higher returns. My idea then was also to maybe the two plans have to merge so that investment link plans or anything that is investment related, it follows the market cycle. So my thought was if either one happens to need the money when the market is bad, I will take the endowment plan, which gives me a returns of around 4%, which is very decent. But if the market is doing well, I wouldn't mind taking from the investment plan. So it works concurrently. Then number 3 came. So I realized I had to tweak it even further, but by then I'm older and I do have uh, a pool of money, and I do more direct investments into equities and funds. So yeah, that's in a nutshell how I do it. And now as my kids are older and they're starting to spend money, right? I also got them to talk about what are the companies they like, and we actually co-invest in them. For example, Nike, Apple, even Roblox, which we invested recently. Yep, that's about it for me.
Very interesting. What Justin, can I share back my screen? I would like to next have Joey. Okay, hearing from both Swarna and Alvin, they adopt very different approaches, as you can see. Alvin tweaked his planning as number 2 and number 3 came along, and this also emphasized, right, the importance of always doing a check and balance along every pit stop, right? And this can be done by a review, a regular review at every pit stop, meaning your life kind of change a little bit, right? Additional member, to always have a review with your trusted personal advisor. What about you, Joey? Do you take a different view when it comes to planning for your children's education? I mean, you are an investment trainer, you are also a stockbroker. How do you tell your P1 and K2 kids, what daddy does for work?
Hi, thanks, Lily. Joey here. Yeah, so for me, I would say that we don't really plan that far ahead. I mean, we don't do like endowment plans like 15, 20 years and then we get a lump sum and then we can go to university with that sum. We don't really do that. I mean, for us, I think we take it a step at a time. I mean, having gone through what I've been through many, many years back where I got hit by that, it was like really unexpected, a huge surprise, right? So we don't really plan too far ahead, all right? And we kind of like set just enough funds, I would say maybe like 6 to 8 months of expenses, and then we invest the rest in equities and properties like that, all right, which I believe will yield better return, all right. And I think like what I say many years back, I kind of like got into like a 740K debt, and I realized it's a bit hard to plan too far ahead, especially in like the stock market. But my wife do plan a little bit, all right, and that's where she kind of got some, I think, some simple whole life plans that save every month for that, but that is pretty much about it, right? And in terms of what like what does my kids think and what I'm doing, right, as a stockbroker. So they don't really know what I'm doing, but I kind of like explain to them a little bit about stocks. I mean, they're in K2 and P1, and what they know about stock trading is like growing our money, all right, about like buying and selling stocks. So I kind of like share them a little bit, but they don't really know like how it works and stuff. All right. And I kind of like use the analogy as like pocket money. So for example, if your pocket money would you grow from like $10 to $20, would they be happy? Right? Of course they'll be happy, right? So I kind of like share them a little bit on like investing about the chart, which is pretty much what I'm good at, right? And they kind of look at it in terms of like the charts in terms of like mountains and hills. They think it's like Mount Everest and all that, which is a bit funny, right? But that's pretty much what it is about, all right? I kind of like guide them in terms of like starting early to invest early to kind of like buy low, sell high, and we kind of need kind of like a way, probably like a proper way to do that. Yeah.
Okay, very very interesting, very different approach, right? From all our three specialists today. Next, if you look at back at the screen, if Justin can just share it again, any unexpected surprises, as you plan for your children's education. Anyone would like to start first?
Swarna.
Yeah, yeah. Hi. Um, okay, when we are planning for anything that is long term, there are a few things that we should remember. One is, of course, the inflation. And then you have to take care. I mean, if you're looking for overseas education, then exchange rate comes in, and of course, living expenses. So for me, I would say for me personally, when we started off planning at that time, UK pound was about 2.2 to a Sing dollar. But right now, of course, it's about 1.8. So I would say we did benefit from the exchange rate, but it's just a coincidence or it may be just lucky. Most of the time, the exchange rate goes on the upper side. So we that is something that you need to be prepared for. How will the exchange move, and how do we buffer it for that? And then the second, of course, is inflation. There are two types of inflation that is here. That is, one is the living expenses and the inflation that goes with it, and education cost inflation, because cost of education has its own inflation at which it grows. Typically, I would say it's about 5 to 7% that we see increase in fees and things like that. So we need to accommodate for that. And so those are the surprises that I would say for me personally, we had sort of when my daughter started in 2019, what we were not prepared for was the sudden amount of living expenses that we had to pay for her UK education, because UK is very expensive, and we realized it was almost equal to the fees that we had kept back for. So that is something that we have to keep in mind. Yeah.
Alvin, any surprises from you
Yeah.
that you wish your advisor would have told you earlier?
nobody would be able to advise me because my ultimate surprise is being a father in year 2 of marriage. We are quite a chill couple, but God has other plans for us. So then shortly after, surprise number 2 is my second kid.
So
And
that's the surprise for you. Yeah.
needless to say, surprise number 3 is my third kid, which comes they're all spaced out 1 year 4 months apart. 1 year 2 months apart. I don't know how come there's a pattern, right? But
Like as if you purposely plan it, right?
this pattern, there's only one pattern. The expenses just keep spiking up, and it's not gone down since. So basically, I would just say that just be ready for more and more expenses the moment the first kid is out, and
Mm,
enjoy the journey. With even a cough would cost $500 to cure, right?
right.
So if you have two kids, they will spread to each other. So you have they toggle 500 between each other. So that's that. I would say that uh, it's better to prevent all surprises. Better have build passive income. Do something that creates passive flow, so that it can
Mm,
cover the ever increasing expenses that comes up. If your kid is talented, be worried. Be very worried because you're going to spend a bomb to get a specialist to groom them.
mm.
So if they are very weak, uh, be very worried. Yeah,
So either way, be worried.
today I had a chat with my old uni friends, and they were saying that secondary school is a nightmare if your kids is average because every single subject is a killer. Yeah, so
Mm,
it's quite so basically I would say the surprises we know since day one, but it hits you really, it hits you really hard when the real thing happens. That I would like to say. Yeah, that's all.
right. What about Joey? Joey, any surprises along the way as you plan?
Yeah, I mean, definitely there'll be surprises. I mean, yeah, like what many of Alvin and Swarna has mentioned, in terms of expenses increasing and all that. But I would say, like for me, when I had my first child, all right, and I think about 7 years ago, all right, and it was a huge surprise, right, because then I was like kind of like in debt like 740K because one of my clients have
Mm,
losses and I have to pick up the debt. It was like 3 months before my first child was born. And it was like a huge surprise at that point in time, to be honest. Don't talk about what saving, endowment, university, that is totally out of my mind, right? I don't even think I have money to pay for the hospital delivery bill, right? And thankfully, with my wife, do a bit of savings to pay for that, right? So we didn't really plan for it, and that's a huge surprise, right? And thankfully, we managed to come back out, and my wife kind of supported us for that 2 or 3 years to pay off the household expenses, the mortgages, and everything. While I just worked my ass off and start building up my income, trading income, broking income, and really picking myself up, right? So yeah, I would say that that's a huge surprise by itself, all right. And for now, of course, things are much more stable. That's where we have a bit more, more time. Things are better. We can plan a little bit more. We can invest a little bit more. And I would say for me, right now would be we do have like term plans for protection, in case of like death and critical illness and all that stuff. But we don't really do like ILPs or like those super endowment plans. But I believe that if you can do it, then if you can do it yourself and you know how to do it, then you can get a better returns if you know where to put your money in stocks and also in properties, right? So that is what I'm doing for now. Yeah.
all right. Now if I can lead you back to my screen again, okay, for my next question. Sometimes my husband will say, "Hey, let them take study loan lah." Last time when I was a kid, I also have to. When I was doing university, I also have to take study loan. So let the children also take study loan. What is your view? Is taking study loan really an option? What is your approach when it comes to your own children? Swarna, tell us. You have the most experience.
Yeah, I mean, it is very tempting to say, okay, you take up a loan. One advantage, or I would say the learning with study loan would be that The child probably learns to handle money and understand the value of money. You force that education on them by saying, okay, your expense is yours, you take care of it, and you start off working, and it's all on you, right? But we have seen that most of the time when someone starts new in a job and then they have a study loan, I don't know whether we want to give that sort of a pressure on the child. I would say educating the child on the value of money, how to handle money, and let them know that there's so much of planning that has gone into giving them whatever they are enjoying, right? I mean, if they are having a good education, they should know the value of it instead of just thinking that it is a privilege. So education on that line is important. I personally feel that I would still, after all, I think it's a very Asian mindset where we want to give the best to our children,
Provide.
right? Yeah,
Mm,
that's right.
mm.
So we try our best. Of course, we tell them, okay, you want extra expenses, work, do part time, and make some money there. That sort of a thing. Yeah.
What about you, Joey? Are you gonna
Uh,
make your K1 and no K2 and P1 kids, take study loan?
I would say, I mean, for now, I would say probably not now, but I mean, in the future, let's say like university. I mean, as a
Right.
parent, I would say if we can pay for them, I'll be happy. I mean, help them out to pay for their studies, right? But I mean, I prefer not to take a study loan. But the thing about us is like if we were to like just pay for their studies and stuff, ultimately, I want them to know that and don't just like study and study and study. Like what Swarna say, it's good that they can work as well, go for some part-time work and know that like studying is not everything, right? Don't just study after you graduate and you find a good job and all that. So work while you're studying, all right? Work, earn some money, all right? And know that money is not that hard. It's not that easy, right, to earn, right? And while you're studying, as while you're working, you can kind of like gain some real life skills, which is what you probably cannot learn in
Yep.
school, all right? So a lot of people think that what you learn in school, but I would say these are all theory, all right? Textbooks, these are all theory. It doesn't teach about investment or stocks, about actually how you do it in real life, all right? So go on there and I don't know, do something, work, gain some real life experience, work for your own money, be independent, pay for your school fees if that's good as well. And I think that's key. It's not just about like studying and what you want to do is to always be growing, always be learning, whether or not you're in school or not school, always be learning and know that like whatever you learn in school is not everything, right? It's just the beginning. Yeah.
Very, very good advice there. Let's move to my next slide. This is obviously to Alvin. 3 children, 3 times the expenses, isn't it? Other than 3 times the joy, people call this is called xiong. So what has changed when it comes to planning from your eldest to your youngest, Alvin? Tell us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 3 times the expenses. This is something I cannot take it. Just to deviate a bit. Like for example, we send our kid to Chinese enrichment class, right?
Mm, mm.
I was telling my wife, say, hey, we take the notes and we teach number two lah. It doesn't work that way.
Recycle the notes, huh?
Yeah, but we couldn't teach, so we land up spending actually higher because 2 years later the fees goes up, right?
Right.
So the teacher uses the same notes to teach my kids, and I still have to pay the same rate. So 3 times is really 3 times the expenses. Fully teaching the same thing 3 times, no discount. So that's that. But anyway, personally for myself, the strategy basically has changed from a disciplined savings approach into a disciplined investment approach. Savings probably would do very well with people who are very, very cash rich and extremely risk averse. But we really have to look into having a disciplined investment approach when you realize that the money is not enough. Okay, so to make it more, and also to make it more interactive for the kids, as I mentioned just now, I made them look at investment in a fun way. Like for example, how about owning the companies they want to buy? Apple phone is obviously one that I say, hey, I show them about investing in Apple. They got me to play Roblox. So I say, okay, there's this Roblox stock that came. Why don't we buy some of it? Which ironically did very well over the past week. So we also set up a pool of fund where we take out the year-end profits, not everything, 10%, we'll give to the church, and also we use that to celebrate our Christmas, which we are doing this year, because this is a very good year for equities. My idea is also to teach them not to be end consumers. Don't always buy. Actually, you can be working for them. That's great. You can even be an investor in them and ride the wave. So my idea of education for them is really not to study, but to look in the eyes of an investor or business person. Why do you buy from them in the first place? And of course, having worked in Philip, I would say that is a eye opener. There are a lot of very good people. They can tell you what's good. They have done their homework, and so I basically tap into all these people, find out what is good in the market and why, and I basically write on it. I'm having a free write on it. Yeah, that's the thing. Then for daily expenses wise, as I mentioned, if they are good, I definitely will spend all comes to support them. And for example, my daughter is very good in art. I bomb out everything on she just draws and draws. I'm going to sell her art piece. Now I'm asking them to do NFT. but but anyway, basically education in Singapore, again, like I say, is very expensive from preschool
Right.
to university. I've not seen a dip in expenses yet. But seeing them enjoy their education journey is probably the proudest highlight of my life. Yeah, I would say it's worth it as now. That's all.
Thank you. Yeah, so it is also, I mean, here our specialists are sharing not just how they plan for their children's education, they also share how to inculcate the value of money, how they teach their children, right, to understand, where does money come from. You need to work for it, right? And making play like roblox, playing roblox, and understanding the market, the stock. I think that's a very, very interesting topic. We have in a chat, there's someone, must be for Joey lah. Which Hong Kong stock has the most potential right now? Oh, wrong topic. Okay, Joey has a lot of YouTube and webinars going on. Yeah, but not for this time round. This time round, I only want to ask Joey how he planned his children's education. Okay. What? Let me look back again to our screen. Actually, I would like to spend more time on the Q&A, so we can take questions from audience. Okay, so I will go on to this like a closing statement, closing question. Okay, 2 key takeaway from each of our guests tonight on children's education. Okay, it has been what you can see, eye opener, right, from when you hear from the 3 guests what they do for their children's education. I mean, for myself, I certainly learn a lot, and taking all these mental notes for myself when it comes to my own children's education planning. We have their age group ranging from 6 all the way to 21. I'm sure all of us in the audience has something to learn, including myself. My children's age is in that range, 6 to 21, right? So yeah, let's have them wrap this up by giving us 2 takeaway points for our audience. And of course, Alvin and Swarna, they help their clients also in their children's education. I am sure they also have very, very important 2 key takeaways. So you have precious 6 key takeaway from all my 3 guests tonight. So maybe Joey would like to start.
Okay, thanks, Lini. Yeah, I would say that the biggest takeaway would be, I mean, in terms of like financial education for kids. For me, I would say that I think grades and starters are not like everything in life. I mean, I think what is most important is like values of the child, character, and grit. All right. I think the ability to fail and get back up. So that's why I tell my kids all the time, it's okay. I mean, if they come back and then they get like, not so good grades, 4.10, 3.10, I tell them, good job, do better, all right, I need better. I wouldn't want to get 10.10, because if you get 10.10 every single time, then you think that everything's so good, but in life, it will just hit you down, it will just whack you all the way down. So it's good to fail, all right? In fact, failing is good, and that's where you can get better.
Yep.
And that's how you can get better. But if you're always doing well, think that you're the best, right? So no, right? So it's good to fail, right? So that's why I tell them, good job, right? And the next point I would say is that always be willing to learn, right? It's not just about like graduating and then that's it, right? I think even after you graduate, you can continue to learn, all right, and pick up real life skills and experience that is relevant in real life, right? I mean, like sometimes I think about what I learned in school, like algebra and geography. I think about it's not really real life, right? But yeah, I mean, so not saying that it's not useful, but I think it's good to, you know, even after graduating, you want to learn real life skills, all right, and things that can, you know, maybe to help you in your business or to grow your money, to multiply investments like charts and all this, which is what my forte. But pretty much just never stop learning, all right? And I think that is key, all right? That's key in terms of children education, and that's one of the takeaway that I think that's pretty much how I feel about my child's education. Yeah.
Swarna, care to share? Two
Yeah,
key takeaways.
yeah. For me, I would say there are two things that, as a parent, for me, because I would say, as far as education planning is concerned, I'm almost at the end of it, right? Because
Congratulations, congratulations.
and I'm happy.
We have a long way to go.
Yeah. So as a parent, if you're looking at planning for the kid, of course, time is money. So start early, don't wait, don't procrastinate, because even if it is putting aside $100 or putting us in
Yep.
anything, but make it a habit to put aside something, whether it is investments, whether it's endowment plan, just put aside, because it really is wonderful how it grows over time, and when we really need it, it really helps. So that is something that we all need to learn, is that time is money. So there is never a good time. I'm sure our friends here will say, when it comes to investment, there's never a good time. The time is now. Just do it. Don't wait for the good time to come. So start early. And as far as a child is concerned, the learning would be that teach them how to man the value of money, because that's a very important life skill, which is not taught in school, it's not taught
Yep.
anywhere. So what is the value of money? Today I had a forward, someone sent me about Elon Musk's view of who's rich and who's poor, and it was very beautifully put that, someone can become rich by winning a lottery, but that person is not really rich until he knows how to manage that money, and so it is important. And most of the time research shows that those who win $10 million and all that, they become poor again, because they don't know how to manage that money, right? So someone who knows how to manage money is actually the one who is, that's a skill that we need to teach, and we need to teach our children, especially as things become complicated. In our days we could say, oh, put money in a FD, but now we know it doesn't make sense, right? Leaving money in the bank means you're losing money. So we need to teach them on what is inflation, what are the ways of using money, how do we make sure that the value of money is retained. So that is something that is a takeaway that I would say all of us should give our children. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Precious advice there. What about Alvin? Give us
Yeah.
your two key takeaway.
Yeah, okay. Basically, the two key takeaway I would like to share, they actually came from my clients themselves. The number one point is basically planning for children's education early is actually always a win-win situation. Basically, if they need it, they use it. If they don't need it, we use it. It's always this situation. So
Good.
I'm still praying very hard that I use it. Not
Right. Of
in a good way,
course.
in a good way. I don't mean they stop at Sec 4 and they
Use together lah. Use together.
no. The ongoing is too high already. I want to use everything. But anyway, the whole idea is there are a lot of users for the money at the later part. I hate to say this, but housing for them might be an issue also in the future, which is what
Yes.
my client brought up to me when I was very young. I'm not even married. They tell me already, they said, if you look at the trajectory of properties in Singapore, even in
Yes.
inflation, it will be high, and it's true now. It is really true now. So that's the thing. So point number two is actually more on pacing the expenses. A lot of parents, even myself, we bomb all out during primary schools. And secondary school, they come out with a thing to say, oh yeah, they're old already, they should know what to do. And the grades, they became two different person. The all-star primary school kid and the rebellious secondary school kid.
Yes.
For me, I think it's a bit ridiculous because nobody asks you what's your primary school, nor your PSLE grades, but very regularly they'll ask you what university you're from. I've learned very, 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 very real that overseas education, Ivy League colleges really get you very, very good jobs. Yeah, so this is something that motivated me a lot for me to take the first step to plan for my kids' education, because I don't mind sharing my first good big clients that I have when I just started out. They are all Ivy League graduates.
Wow.
With very high no, my clients.
Okay.
But the head start they had was quite alarming to me, because we are taught that you graduate from uni NUS, this is the expected salary.
Right.
Somebody who graduate from US, they will expect their salary to be 5,000 US. Translate to Singapore then was 8,000 Sing, yeah, and things like that. So it's a totally different mindset both of us have, even though we are of the same age. Yeah, this is basically the two key takeaways that I would like to share. Yeah.
Great. If I move on, okay, this is our concluding slide already. Before I take on Q&A, that one I will actually need my colleague Justin's help to read the Q&A to us. Now, we welcome you to connect with any of our speakers tonight, okay? All of them have something in common. No. Actually, they have one thing in common. They are very, very active in their social media and are always very generous in sharing and broadcasting value-added financial tips to their customers and their followers. Okay, all of them are very successful today because they have done well. They have done something right for their children and of course for their customers, right? They are also growing their team. By the way, we are hiring, we are expanding, and we always welcome like-minded individuals to join us. Okay, like Alvin, for example. He very special, something very special about his team. He specializes in recruiting mummies. Okay, mummies who need to care for their young ones at home. He believes a career doesn't have to take a backstage just because you need to care for your young toddlers. Okay, now if I move on, you can also like us on Facebook. Okay, such session like this in the future, we also share it on our Facebook. If you want to know more about hiring, our expansion and hiring opportunities, please also feel free to connect with us, any one of us. All our contact details are here. Okay, and at this juncture, I will invite Q&A session. Okay, so any questions at all, post it on Zoom, on Facebook, on anywhere on YouTube. We have our specialists here until 9 o'clock. Okay, and more than happy to answer your questions. Justin, perhaps you want to bring us through the questions if there are any. Justin, we can't hear you, yeah, in case you are muted. Maybe you'd like to read us any Q&A that appears on Zoom from our Zoom audience.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah, there are a few questions on Zoom already from our attendees. I think the first question I can start off can be taken on by any of our speakers here, by Suresh. Thanks for the question. His question is, so can I open a trading account in my child's name?
I think Joey will be the expert here. Trading account with the child's name. Or Joey, you'd like to share more?
Yeah, sure. I think for a trading account, basically, if it's like below 18 years old, is it 21? All right. So I've not done account opening. Normally, my team does that, right? But I would say below 18 years old, you can open like for a child, but it must be like a joint account between like parent and child. So it can be done, but it must be a joint account. So you can't just open it the child by itself, lah. So you can open a joint account, and that's perfectly fine. I think it's good to start young, all right. And at least as a parent, you have like a joint account, and you can slowly build up your son's or your daughter's portfolio at 5 years old, 6 years old, and then yeah, maybe just invest in some good shares. Let them have have a stake in it. Maybe put some of their savings, their piggy bank, open it, put their ampang money inside. And I think it's a good start, right? And if they see it grow, and then I think that they can learn, right? They can learn in terms of like really growing their piggy bank, from like 5,000 to 6,000 year by year. Maybe 15 years from now, their 10,000 become 100,000, right? If they do it properly. So I think it's a good start. So it can be done, but it has to be what we call like a joint account, all right, between the parent and the child. And I think it's a good way to actually start young for the child.
Okay.
Great, great.
Thanks, Joey. Okay, we got another question from Joseph Lim. Thanks for the question. This question is for Alvin. So, Alvin, you did mention that you utilize your investment-linked policies and endowment plans to help pay for education and life's unexpected situations. Do you mean you cash in before it matures?
Oh, no, obviously not. The investment linked policies are flexible in a lot of ways. So beyond a certain years, basically, even currently is even more advanced. The investment linked policies have gone into even more hybrid modes, very close to unit trust with flexibilities and with even insurance. It all depends on how you structure it. So is for investment policies, it wouldn't be a premature redemption. For endowment plans by itself, I've already finished paying for it. So I'm just waiting for the day it matures, which is in line with my daughter's, which my eldest, which is 19 years old. So what I mean is that if the market is really bad, then I'll just utilize the endowment plan that is matured then 19 years old. That's it. That's what I mean. So the order goes that way. Safe to risky.
Okay, thanks, Alvin. We have another question from Rio Magmer. Thanks for the question. The question says, what is the best investment instrument for children education if the parents have a similar mid-size income?
Similar, repeat again, similar what? Mid-size.
Mid-size income.
Okay. Anyone? Maybe Swarna can take this question.
Can you repeat again? I didn't quite understand the question.
Okay, what is the best investment instrument for children education if their parents have a similar mid-size income?
Okay. Basically, of course, it depends on how much is the disposable income, because mid-size income could be there, but it depends on what is your expense there. So if you have your disposable income, then you can work on a combination. When it comes to education, as Alvin said, right, a combination of endowment and an investment plan helps because one, you know for sure that the endowment would pay you a guaranteed amount, and then investments, as you know, the so we just don't want to take a chance that we don't have enough money when the child needs the money. So you need to do a combination. So you can choose what is your depending on the disposable amount. We can work out a plan accordingly. A combination is just nice.
Okay, speaking of instruments, we have another question from Alauddin. What instruments and its allocation would you recommend for education planning given more than 10 years time frame?
So I suppose this question is from someone who really want to start very early, right? Can afford to save for over 10 years. I think everyone can suggest something, even Joey, I'm sure he has something that he can share even other than Alvin and Swarna.
Okay, maybe I'll try. What instruments can you invest in? I mean, if you're looking for like a longer term, like your children's education, so I would assume you probably not like 5 months, 1 year, 2 years kind of outlook. Maybe you want to like invest on the longer term, like 15, 20 years. All right. So I think that's if you want to go for long term, I think there are a few ways, or maybe like you can have like 2 or 3 portfolios. It depends, right? So the first portfolio could be perhaps one whereby it's a little bit more stable, a little bit more long term, a bit more maybe for passive income. You can go for some of the REITs, real estate investment trusts. You can put your funds into some of those very good stable REITs, right? 1.45% yield, all right, and it can slowly grow as well. You can see your dividend income coming in quarter by quarter, month by month, and the next portfolio could be one whereby it's a little bit longer term. You can probably put a small portion into some of those high growth stocks, which has a lot of potential. Of course, there's some risks as well, but there's upside potential for some of those really good high growth stocks in the US market, in Singapore market. We have some of them as well. And I think that is where you can kind of like put the funds in to kind of get a much better return. All right. And the third one would be, I would say, some of those like stable blue chips, right? Maybe it's names that you probably know about. I mean, like the Singapore banks and some of those companies which you're probably using their services daily, all right, like Disney, all right, and all that, Netflix. These are pretty much companies which are, I mean, they're growing, all right, and companies like these, you can do a bit of research. Of course, if you know about like technical analysis and the charts and all that, you can better time your entry as well, and it does help to if you get in at a good price, and that's where it will help, even though it's the longer term. All right. So I think, yeah, these are the instruments. So for me, I'm pretty much focused on stocks, but I think there are many instruments, right? I mean, stocks is just one of them. You can go into several products like, I mean, like bonds for those of you who are like more high net worth clients. You can bonds. You can go into like some of those insurance products as well. I think several products like Alvin and IFP and all that. Yeah. So I'll leave that to the FAs to share.
Well, Alvin, what do you think of things like regular saving plan, share builders plan? What are your views of instruments such as that?
I'm a believer of disciplined approach, looking long term and asset allocation. Stay invested. Even staying invested in safe instruments would range from your savings rate of 0. Nothing 0.
0.01.
Yeah, to like what Joey said, a bond,
Yep.
which can go around 2-3%, relatively stable, and you can probably have a liquidation that is very, very liquid. So asset allocation to me is very, very important. That's one, and discipline also. Recently, I talked to a client. We cashed out a profit. He made 20,000. Actually, it literally doubled due to. So when I asked him for the planning, the 20,000 disappeared. So it has gone to part of his house. He told me he don't know where it went to. So having, even if you are the best guru with the best market and you treat it into a deferred expenses, literally when the time comes it's still zero, right? So having the disciplined approach to say, okay, at least X dollars times 10 years, this is the amount, the minimum. Then anything above, we can scale up with looking for people who are good. There are a lot of good people around. Just ask who are the good advisors, etc., and hear them out. It's the same as you're going for a surgery. You probably have to listen to 2 specialists, 3 specialists before you decide who you want to go under the knife for, right? Because we do insurance, I always tell, even when we had to go for surgery, we went to talk to 3 specialists before deciding which one we want to be cut and remove, something like that. So it's always the same. It's a very open market. Don't believe everything the internet says, because if the market crash, you can't point the finger at the internet and cry. And we have not had a crash for the longest time. So this is something to take note of also. The last thing I really pray and hope is not having a crash during when the money is needed, because you're talking about a very big pull down. And for my age, I'll be very old. Thanks to marrying late, I'll be 55 to 60 years old. So I plan my resources according to the worst case scenario. If you were to ask me how I do it. Yeah.
All right. Justin, do we have any more questions? Last few questions.
Yes,
Let's entertain a few last questions.
Hello. Yep.
Yes.
We have a question from Joseph. Between a share builders plan, IL policy, and an endowment plan, or downright investment, what would be a good ratio to place our disposable income? And for a basket of shares for downright investment, how many companies should one invest in?
This looks like a risk profiling question.
Let me take out my risk profiling brochure, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, Joseph, really, we need to sit with you and find out what's your risk because I'm sure my friends here and I wouldn't want to say, "Hey, this is how you do it," you know.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
because it's a lot of every instrument has its own risk,
Yep.
and how much of risk appetite you have will depend on how we do the portfolio and how do the set allocation, So uh, there is no standard across the board one solution. Each of us are very different. Our needs are very different. That's my view.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
I
Indeed,
think
indeed.
I just add on a little on how the easiest. I always tell people you can always DIY lah. Whatever DIY methods you want to use, you have to check the maximum drawdown according to history.
Mm.
So which means that every instrument have a history of drawdowns, which means the maximum crash. Means that if really something really bad happens, which point will it pull it down? And you can actually use your maths equation. Last time you learn your equation, right? If you draw down 50%, half times this, blah, 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 and how this, you can add up and you can do your calculation. But if you think that it's too tedious, look for advisors. we can.
Yeah, I mean, really, right? There is no model answer. Not like your maths, maths assessment. You can flip to the back, right? And you have your model key answer to that math question. But when it comes to financial planning, I mean, it's unique. Every person is different, right? There are different objectives, different circumstances, different income level, So, it is very difficult to really pinpoint, oh, you must put how many percent in this, how many percent in that. In terms of controlling, right, risk, and I mean, how about Joey? How do you, advise your investing client, right? Sometimes when is it time to pull back? When is it time to go in? How do you advise your clients?
I would say for those like maybe longer term clients, and if you're like going into all in equities, right? So let's just assume that you're going into a portfolio of this equities, right? It's good to diversify, which I think is good. I mean, like you're asking like what's the basket of stocks you should hold,
Right.
right? And to be honest, I've seen many clients. I spoke to many clients as well, and some clients have a portfolio of like 20, 30 stocks, right? 20 stocks, 30 stocks. And when I look at their portfolio, most of the time, to be honest, the portfolio are not really that good. I think people tend to hold on to losing stocks, all right, and they cut their wins, all right. So it should be the other way around, right? It should be like holding on to your winners and cut your losses. But a lot of people are holding on to a portfolio of losing stocks, and this is because they are holding like more than 20, 30 stocks. So I think that it's good to diversify, but if you diversify until like 30, 20 over stocks, then it might be a bit too much. You probably would not know what to do, and you do nothing, and then it gets worse, and then you hold and you hope, and it gets worse, and it just doesn't look good. So I think that yeah, I mean, if you're diversifying or maybe building a portfolio or basket of stock, it's good to keep it maybe to like 5 or maybe maximum 8, 10. And from there, of course, you want to tweak it like maybe, I mean, if you're going for the long term, you can look at it every 2, 3 months, or do a review, all right? And yeah, I mean, if it doesn't look good in terms of like the charts, the technical, or maybe the fundamentals, you want to take steps to get out as well, all right? Or maybe take steps to protect your profits as it moves up. Yeah, so that's in terms of like the stock market. I mean, I would say, yeah, we don't put all our eggs in one basket, but at the same time, we don't have too many eggs until we lost count of them and have no idea what to do with them. Yeah.
Very good. Wow, it is 8:58 now. Justin, let's have one last question, and we would end our webinar today. I also welcome, again, reminder to everyone to leave your comments on topics that you wish to hear about for our next Ask Me Anything series, right? So, like I mentioned, we would love to share with you what matters to you, right? And we will get speakers like tonight, where they are really the expert, right? Where they can share more when it comes to investment, when it comes to financial planning. Yeah. Justin, let's have one last question.
Okay, so to end off the whole Q&A, we have one last question from April here. Thanks, April, for the question. With a new child expenses goes up greatly, if budget is limited, should we be focusing on protection plans for the child or investment and savings for the child's education? Sounds like a poll.
Looks like Alvin and Swarna can answer this question very well. It's quite a typical question, right? You will get from your clients.
Yeah, I know. That's right. This was from who? April, is it?
Yes.
April, yes.
Yeah, okay, April. Uh, okay, for me, when I look at someone, a new parent with a child, a parent with a child, of course, I make sure that they at least have the basic medical insurance, right? I mean, we need medical, and we know how expensive Singapore can be when it comes to
Mm,
hospitalization. So, medical insurance is like a requirement that is very, very essential. And of course, then we plan for the parents' term plan or their to cover them, to give protection, cover their income, so that in case something happens to the parent, at least the family has something to do. And then when we come to the child, what is important? Is it protection or whether it's savings, right? It really depends on, of course, first, again, I would say please get your child the medical plan. Don't
mm,
procrastinate on that because one is we have the advantage of, no pre-existing, like you just get in with no underwriting and anything, no issues at all. Okay,
right.
and so that becomes important. And when it comes to saving, really, I mean, now of course we would say plan for critical illness or plan for term. I mean, I wouldn't really go into full life plan, but critical illness seems to be something that can really cause or bite into our pocket or into our savings. So that's something that we can plan for. But when it comes to education or this, I would really see what the parent has focus and then do it. So it depends. If your focus is, hey, I want to put aside, my child has a good medical plan, and I want to put aside something so that his future is settled, then I would say start a savings plan or start an investment plan. Anything. Just learn to put aside money for a better future.
Anything you want to add, Alvin, to
Um,
Swarna's
yeah,
advice?
for my side, I have advisors asking me, hey, what to plan first. Parents asking me what to plan first, etc. So I give them the standard answer to ask yourself, from 0 to 21 years old, what are the incidents that happen the most? Okay,
Mm,
number one, you fall down. Number two, I think out of 100 people, two or three will probably get in hospital over the 20 years. So I always said, okay, with that in mind, these two are very affordable. Get your hospital plan and
mm,
accident plan. Even the baby that's the moment they start to sleep, I tell my client they have to better buy an accident plan.
yep.
Okay, that's these two. Then the third one, whether critical illness, whole life plan, or education, I said, well, we most of us survive to 20, right? So I think I would personally, if I have very little budget, I'll plan for their education.
Mm,
And if it's needed, you want to use via the insurance method, you just do a payer benefit in case the parent is not around. At least the policy is paid up. I just go by when I tell them, they roughly know what they want to do.
yep.
Obviously, if they want to go via the critical illness route, go ahead, it's fine.
Mm,
But
mm.
I rather go for the angle of the highest occurrence rate. Most of us survive to 20, so and the education just smack in our face, right? So I'll go for that. Yeah.
All right. Now, at this juncture, that's it. Taking any more questions? Once again, for those who would like to make a friend, there are three friends here you can make. They share a lot, as I was saying, on their social media. Okay, it is always good, right, to listen to or to read rather on their sharing. Joey has a lot of videos. Even you can watch his videos on YouTube, and hopefully you make better investment decision, better planning, and of course, to the topic today, better educational plan for your children. right? I at this moment, let's invite Justin. You keep hearing his voice, but you don't see him, right? He's really busy behind the scene the whole night, toggling one screen to another. Let's give our thanks to Justin for helping us to man YouTube, Facebook, Zoom, and everything, right? And of course, uh, thank you to my speakers. Okay, very very difficult to get all three of them available. Okay, so you guys are very lucky to have all three of them on screen with us tonight. Yeah, for 1 hour. So thank you very much. Everyone, stay safe. Have a good evening. You can have your meals with your family now. No need to sit two by two. Alvin can have a family dinner with all his three kids, right? So is Joey and Swarna. All right, thank you. Goodbye,
Okay.
and see you
Bye.
in our next Ask Me
Bye.
Anything
Bye
series.
bye.
Bye
Thank you
bye,
so much.
everyone.
Have a good
Thank
evening.
you. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye. Bye.